Hi, and welcome to another podcast. I'm Fettouhi, and let's talk games. It's been a year, I think, and I don't know why it's been a year. I've been really busy with doing so many things, and a lot of things have happened in my private life. And I don't know if we should get into detail with that. There's also a lot of other things, but let's start off. Last time I did a podcast, I think, if I remember correctly, I hadn't actually listened to the last podcast to actually get things right, so I might be a little bit off. Last time I did a podcast, I think it was a driving podcast or something like that. I don't know. My mother died a year ago, or a year and a month actually. And the sad thing happened also that my father just died a week before the anniversary of my mother's death. So I haven't really been, what should we call, lucky, or my family hasn't been really lucky when it comes to those things. But, well, shit happens. Nothing you can do about it, just keep on going. And also, I've done a lot of changes in my life. Back in February, I actually came to a conclusion with myself that I was not healthy at all, like so many other people around the world, and I had a lot of health trouble. Was getting sick every now and then, and I had some physical problems also with my knee. So what I did was a colleague of mine was actually on a diet, a special diet, where and I don't know if you were listening, you probably don't give a shit. So you can skip ahead of this probably 10 minutes or something. I'll mark it or something. Anyways. He was on a diet. He told me about. He was having pretty good success with it, and so what I did was I came home a workday after work, and I started looking it up, reading a little bit about it, what it actually was. It's a drinking diet where your protein shakes, a shake diet. It also had soup in it and all that. It was a fairly easy diet, but it was purely nutrition based and all that. And you pretty much drank it all. It was fluid diet, and for a person who at a normal basis eats food, that can be pretty tough to handle. I'm talking from experience now. So what I did is I ordered up a starter pack, which contained shakes and some soups. And what I did was a low-calorie diet, a really low-calorie diet. It was, I went for the 700 calories a day, which is really low. A normal one is 1,300 calories, and that's 6 meals a day. Everything is 6 meals a day, but it's mostly with additions. Like it's the same amount you just eat, like fruit and stuff like that, besides the stuff you already do. But anyways, it's pretty much so you can mix and match it. You can do pretty much what you want. nobody is telling you to do this other than yourself. So I paid a shitload of money. I think actually I spent over $100 on the crap. And I started, I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And told myself, well, okay, I'm going to start this. And I figured out how to do this. And I figured out I would drink shakes in the morning before work. And have I had a bar. I had at the time I had shakes with me also at work. So it's one in the morning, one in the early day, one at lunch, and one when at dinner, and one before we go to bed, and I think one more also. I can't six in total. So free before noon and free afternoon. It's pretty much simple. You do it. You do one when you wake up. You do one when you get to work. Because I commuted, so it's pretty much like I the first one I drank was around 6 a.m. And then I got to work and worked for a couple hours. So, then people have a coffee break. That's around 10 a.m. Then breakfast or not breakfast, dinner or it's called lunch over here. It's weird. You would call it brunch, but 12 a.m. 12 not a.m. p.m. It's lunch for us. So I had a shake there, and when I got home, I had a shake. Then I always took for a hot meal soup. That was I got home at 4, and then soup at 6, and then before I went to bed was 9. So that's total 6 meals a day. So I did that for a week, which pretty much was what you can do with that starter pack. And I lost. You gotta have to do the conversion yourself, but I lost 10 kilos in 1 week. And if we do the math on that, and I can't remember, I think it's actually twice. So 10 kilos to pound. Still hate that conversion. And I need to type correctly. That's 22 pounds in a week. So, yeah, 1 kilo is pretty much 2.2 pounds. So I lost 22 pounds the first week. And, just so you know, it's not fat you lose. It's water. Pretty much water. You pretty much go to the toilet every 2 minutes. It's insane. So if you want to try something like that, go ahead. You're going to hate it. So I did that for a week. And I had great success so far because my colleague, he tried the same thing, and not the same hard method. He did a normal diet, not the low calorie diet, and it worked, and I was impressed. I had a scale. I have a scale. I bought a scale, or actually, I borrowed a scale from my brother. He wasn't using it. So I kept track every day and just if you want to be as precise as possible of how much you weigh, just a hint. This is also from experience and also from knowledge that I've read. If you want your specific weight, how much you really weigh body-wise, not with after you drink coffee and all that, because that's fluids inside you. That's not actually that adds to it with the water and all. Do it in the morning after you're done your business in the bathroom. Weigh yourself. That's pretty much where you know how much your body weighs. When you drink water, eat breakfast before you go, all that, and then you weigh yourself. That's and after you get home from work, or even after you get home from the gym. The whole day you've taken in nutritions and all that it's crap. Anyways, I'm rambling. Anyways, just a tip. Well, I did all that and really impressed. And what I I took a week more, 2 weeks in a row, and it worked. And I know, and to make it easier, I bought some. They also have some energy bars, or not energy bars. It's snack bars they call it, which has pretty much this twice the amount of calories as a meal. So with that, you actually, what I did, I took one meal out because I had so many calories in one meal. So I said 700 calories, and then I can see, okay, this one is doubled. Then I can't do this if I have. The goal was to keep the calories as low as possible without actually fainting from from under from low to low energy. But anyways, so did that, lost a lot of weight also there. I can't actually remember how much I lost the second week. And with that, I actually found out, well, I started feeling better, definitely. Starting to notice stuff, and what I did after that, I actually invested myself in an exercise bike. Bought one from a brand new one, pretty expensive, from a place where you could actually purchase stuff like that. They have specialized in it. Got it and used it. Told myself as a goal. Every day. I have to use it every day, and this was not a part of a diet. It was part of a mental idea that I have. Well, if I invest in this, I want to use it every day, and I want to use it properly. So I read a little bit about what a good exercise would be, and people say that you need to move around at least 30 minutes a day. Actually, up to an hour, but 30 minutes is pretty much the minimum of movement you need to do a day to your body not going to waste. So I told myself, okay, I'm gonna do a program where 30 minutes a day after I get home, not before work. When I get home, first thing I do after I get in, change into my exercise clothes, and 30 minutes at no specific speed, no program, nothing. It just there are some gears you can. It was an electronic one, so it has a resistance you can tweak. So I put in a resistance and then started doing it. And I got a couple of kilometers down and did that every day, even the weekends, no break or everything. And with time, after a month or so, I lost pretty much. Pretty much, I think it was. Was it 25 kilos at some point, a couple of months after that. And that was with actually when I started eating again. After 2 weeks, I stopped totally for at least a month the diet, because it was just, first of all, it's fucking expensive doing a diet, but it's more like, well, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Stop eating and just drinking fluid. No matter if it's synthetic nutrition, you get all the things your body needs. It's not true. Your body needs, your stomach needs to actually produce something, and water, protein, and all that does not produce the same effect as breaking down real food in your stomach. And trust me, not going to the bathroom properly for days is not healthy at all. So your colon will kill you the first time after you after you have been to the bathroom in many days. So it's not fun. Anyways, what happened? I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. I'm not gonna bore you to death because I know you probably want to hear what I've actually been playing the last year or so. Anyways, speeding it up. What happened was I lost a lot of weight. Actually, gained a bit of weight after I tried. I was eager to speed the process up because my 33. I can't talk English today. God damn it. I was turning 33 in August, so my goal was to lose at least 33 kilos. That's if you do the math on that, and I can't do the math. I wanted to lose around 72 pounds before I wanted to lose the same my age in kilos. That was the goal for it. A mental goal. I didn't have a goal at the time when I started. Just want to lose weight and get healthy on all that. So after I stopped diet, what I did was totally change my refrigerator. Threw everything out. Red meat, all that. Gave it away to my family, whoever wanted it. Didn't care. Started eating fish, drinking water. No Diet Coke, nothing. Water, fish, salad, fiber, a lot of fiber, brown bread, fiber bread, no white bread, all fiber, really dark and nutritious. And then eating smaller portions, that's the first step actually, because you are overeating if you're gaining weight. That's the whole problem. You're actually, and it may not feel that way, it's actually, you're putting in more, you're taking in more calories than you burn in a day, and that's the main issue. But anyways, well, after 3 months, I've had the exercise by, almost 3 months. There were some problems with it. It was broken, and of course, since it was brand new, there was some warranty on it. I tried using that. They fixed it. They shipped it back, and they shipped it back with some industrial foam protecting it. The problem is that the industrial foam, if you've ever worked or seen it, what happened is that if you use that, you pretty much take the item you're shipping, pack it in some plastic, and then you put the foam around it, because the foam hardens and the foam sticks like glue, actually worse than glue. It's so hard and impossible to get off if it gets on the surface of the item. Therefore, you pack plastic around the item before you actually fill it with foam. They did a crappy job with that, so the foam got stuck on the bike and on some screws and all that. It was horrible. So I called them up and said, well, somebody in shipping really fucked up, and they could I sent them pictures and all that. So at that time, I was getting tired of actually using the exercise bike. Tired in the way that it was just not fun anymore. It's actually it was feeling as more as a hassle every day. Even though I watched movies and all that, but I was really not happy with it. And also probably because it was fucking annoying that it was broken. So I told them, well, I've been seeing that if I want a better exercise for almost the same time that I spend on it every day, a row machine would be the perfect fit for me. So, and they also sold that. So I told them, well, you can give me my money back. Or you can give me a row machine instead. And I actually pointed out that it was actually almost the same price, a little bit more expensive. And I said, give me that. I'll pay the little bit of of the difference. And we got ourselves a deal. And they said okay. So what I did was shipped it back, or actually I drove it back. Even though I should have shipped it, but it would just take. I was pissed off. It was just a fucking hassle and weighed a ton also. So did that, drove down, and told him, "Here's that. Give me the other one." Put it in my car, drove back, and got myself a row machine. And with that, I did something else. I told myself, well, because I had knee problems, I want to start really slow. I want to do this right. So I took it down to 20 minutes instead. That was pretty much the deal. And I read a little about it. Okay, because this is not distance, and you measure. You take I said to myself, well, I take a program of 20 minutes, and what do I measure? What do I measure my performance with? Because calories are not measured the same way on a row machine that it is on an exercise bike. You still do cardio training, but you also do back, you do breast, and you do arms. So and you of course knees and all that. You do pretty much your whole body. Stomach is a little bit different, but anyways, what I found out that you need to measure the time compared to how many strokes you take. And a normal person who starts up with a decent exercise in time will do around 20 strokes a minute. So, okay, I had something to go for. So, did that, and today I've lost, I can say to myself, I've lost 104 pounds today. This is the current weight I'm still losing, and I use my row machine every day. Actually, I used it today, and I'm really happy. And I've never been healthy. I'm never better. So that's pretty much the private story. With all this change, gaming has been prioritized a little bit low, and also with talking to some of my friends over in Texas and all that, there's been so many changes for me personally. Also figuring out how to live my life, because changing a change this dramatically also changes how you spend your free time, because well, gaming is not something. It would be more like, well, I have many hobbies. I play music, I game, I read a book, I watch movies, I watch TV shows, and many more things. Read comics, listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks. I've been doing also because reading has been left behind a little bit, so I've actually been doing audiobooks also. So with all this, there's really, and I putting in also exercising, exercising and eating right, is also where something you have to take care of. You have to weigh yourself. You have to, okay, I can't do this, and also with my parents dying, a lot of things have changed also with that, and there are some things we need to take care of in the family also, funeral and all that crap. So the whole shebang has changed. So I haven't actually been playing that many games. Actually, I have bought that many games. So I played. Of course, I played Bioshock Infinite. I haven't played the newest Batman Origins, which I'm waiting for dropping in price a little bit more. I'm actually hoping for the Steam sales, maybe, also I haven't played the DLC, because the DLC for Bioshock Infinite is insanely expensive, and the season pass is a ripoff. Not a ripoff in the DLC, but it's more like it's $20 for the DLC, and that's both of them. The second one coming out later, maybe this year, maybe next year. I don't know. I don't care. But it's more like it's 3 hours of for $20, and we don't know how long the next DLC is gonna be. So I'm gonna wait Oh, and Dishonored is actually also. I finished the first DLC on Dishonored. I haven't picked up the second DLC. The first DLC is actually pretty good, but it's just not. It's hard to go back to a game that, well, you played it and you were really disappointed with the ending. It's just like, I don't know. But one thing I can say, I've actually, when I got back in touch with Rob and Brett, I was still playing Borderlands. I've been having a blast with Borderlands 2. The DLC add-ons, the 4 major packs. Actually, there actually been 2 new DLCs just this month, or last month actually. Um, with Halloween and one more also. I picked them up. I played 158 hours in that game, and I'm still playing when I have time. And it's just fun. It's really a hardcore RPG action game. I actually been also playing Diablo 3. Actually, my friend got me back into Diablo 3. We played hardcore, and I haven't played that in a while. I played hardcore mode in Diablo 2, and that game is a whole different bargain when you play hardcore because you lose your character if you die. So I tried the same thing. I lost a couple of characters, but when I lost my level 60 Paradigm 3 character, I was just like, and it was just like, I can't do this again. I don't want to go back and start it all up again. And it was pissing me off. And it was getting a little bit repetitive and all that. And also, yeah, it was just the DLC or the expansion pack that should be coming is far, far away next year if we're fucking lucky. So it was just, no, I don't want to do this. So I stopped playing. My friend already stopped playing. He's playing World of Tanks instead. And I'm not a big fan of that game. So, yeah. So what I did was going back to Borderlands. But now the new consoles are out. They've been out for at least 2 weeks. A week for the Xbox One. 2 weeks for the PlayStation in the US, and the PlayStation 4 just came out yesterday, actually today, because we're still on Friday as I'm speaking right now. And I was, of course, being a fan and being and the price range being like $3.99, it was possible for me to get one. So I pre-ordered one when I decided to, or I can't remember when I decided to actually pre-order. When I pre-ordered one, I pre-ordered 2 games. Pre-ordered Knack and I pre-ordered Killzone. And my experience so far has been positive in so many ways. First of all, the launch was, well, over here it's crap. A couple of people show up at midnight launch. You whoop-de-doo, you go and you get your console, and there's no giveaway and all that. We are a small country, and I don't live in the capital of my country, where all the crap is going on, and maybe some famous assholes come over and actually do stuff, but I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I've seen some on the internet in Germany, in UK, and in Rome doing some crazy shit, but over here is not that big a thing. I saw the US where Trenton and I can't remember the other guy giving away the first PlayStation sold to some kid who was probably pissing his pants of excitement, but yeah. So, but I got home with my system, and of course I was afraid of it being dead because, yeah, of course it's brand new, it's mass produced, and it's mass produced at a time schedule for launch. So that means there are when you think about it, and I'm not thinking from a perspective of a consumer. I'm thinking of totally neutral. If you think about when you line up a new device of any kind, and you say, well, we're going to launch this date, and you say, well, we expect to sell around 3 million before Christmas. That's a pretty tall order for a device that is $399, and you have to, and it's a complex device, and you have to produce it, ship it, and all that. It takes time, and you have to produce it and test it also, or at least test it in a way that you can be sure that, well, it's going to work with 99.9% sure of success. So there will, of course, be dead on arrival devices, and there will be faulty items. You can't expect anything else. There is a margin set for failure on this, and that's why they keep producing when the launch, so they will have backups lying around. The problem is with so many pre-orders on PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, the demand is so high that they can probably have, at least what I've heard over here also, it's probably almost impossible to get one in stores. That means the stores, you can't go into the store and say, well, it's broken, give me a new one. I don't have one. And that's where the problem comes, where consumer issues come in, that you might actually be the unlucky one to have a device that it's failed on you, firmware, whatever, and you get home, you figure it out, you of course you're pissed beyond measure. I would be pissed to the brink of exploding. It can't be fun, and it can't be fun actually getting to call Sony or whoever is the representative of Sony in your country and saying, well, it's gonna take a week at least, and you just paid $400 plus tax, and you have 2 games you can't play. What are you gonna do? And Sony, from what I've heard, I haven't heard any Xbox, from what I've said, you get a free game. From Sony, I haven't heard they're giving anything away. Maybe they're giving some PlayStation Plus subscription away, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Anyways, it's more like, well, that's it. It's broken. I can understand that, but for me, I was really happy that it wasn't, of course. So I did this sensible thing, like everybody else. Sony has been saying, well, there's going to be launch firmware. You have to update before you can use this and this. Like every console that ships, the firmware is all, of course, updated before launch, because again, I don't know why I think the media has gone totally nuts with saying crap like, oh, you gotta do a firmware update, blah, blah, blah. Of course you have. They probably produced this crap months before, putting it in storage, shipping, packing it. It's gotta come from fucking China to the whole world. What the hell do you expect? Of course, if there's a faulty firmware on it, they're gonna fix it, and you will have to update it. What the hell do you think? It's just, and they say, and I'm sorry, if you really are that naive, thinking that, well, I can't plug it into the internet at launch, then you shouldn't fucking buy the device. You gotta have to update any device, a phone, anything, put it on the web, just update, and then you can plug it off if that's what you want. But when you've launched the title, make sure you update firmware. That's a no-brainer for every consumer buying an electronic device that has software updates coming. To make sure the device is functional from day one, update it. Make sure you get the newest update. And everybody doesn't. It's not on console. It's on fucking phones. It's on tablets. It's on PCs, the first thing you do when you install a fucking Windows, you update it. And then you can, of course, ignore the rest of it if you don't want it, but at least make sure you update it and then start using it, because then you at least know, well, when I'm using it, it has the latest updates. And then you can take it onto a ship or wherever, and you don't have internet, because that's really also, if you buy a device that is pretty much surrounded about a community and online perspective, and you don't want it, well, then you're gonna have to live with the consequence that some things might not be available to you because you have to update it. For example, I'm pretty sure that some fixes for interface updates, well, you're not gonna get that before you update it. It's just, I think the complaining and all the whining on so many forums and so many sites, and the media is totally to blame for this. That Joystick, Kotaku, and Gadget, all those, go fuck yourself, because putting up a story about that is just, well, saying, well, we don't have anything else to put up because we're lame. I can't understand why you nitpick on this, because it's not the end of the world. You can write, well, you gotta have to, of course you can inform people about it, but just like writing it like it's a bad thing. It's a situation that's, well, of course. So that really pisses me off. But anyways, the whole issue with all the updating thing is of course that the service is, of course, with a launch always, and it still is. I've actually seen there's some functions turned off in Europe because of launch, because when so many people go online at the same time with a new device, it's of course gonna stress servers and the whole network and all that, and it's pretty much guaranteed to break down no matter how many servers you have, unless you really are over preparing. And well, the problem is that not all companies have that leisure to actually do that. Microsoft is a different thing. They have a cloud service called Windows Azure. They have plenty of servers they can do. Sony is not a server company in any ways. They're a big company. They produce a lot of things, but they don't have that. Going out buying extra stuff, of course, yeah, there's a limit to it, because they probably say, well, we expect a current usage after the peak, and we're talking peak times. This is a peak time. You don't buy into peaks. Of course, when you try really to manage them by doing other things, but you don't buy a server farm after a peak performance, because then probably 90% of the time outside the peak, where normal network traffic is present, it's just maybe 50% of your servers are idling, doing nothing, because you wasted. They are not doing anything. So when you buy something, when you build something like this, you build it with the management of peak interest points, and then you try to do it differently. Like, for instance, what Sony did this time. They said, well, from experience of US launch, we know there's going to be issues. Totally fine. I didn't expect that it would work at all, but it worked. Great. What they did is they told people, well, the what's new search is going to be turned off. You can't use it, and there are some other things in the store that's not also going to be turned off, because, and I can tell you why. Because when 1 million people start their PlayStation, the first thing they're going to see is that what's new. That is going to launch a search on the PlayStation servers. That search is going to crawl the whole database through. Try that, doing that a million times at once. That's not going to be good for any server, no matter how big it is, and any database. I actually don't think it's the servers that the problem. It's the database that's going to go nuts with too many connections. Of course, that's going to kill the network, or kill the. It's not going to kill the network. It's just the server's just going to. Well, I can't manage everything. I have a million queues of questioning, and I need to respond to them. I can't take care of the rest. So that's the problem. So I think they did the smart thing. And when I logged on, it took an hour to get my PlayStation. So it launched at 12 a.m. And I got mine. I got home around 1 a.m. Plugged it in. I took my PlayStation 3 off, took it on, and what happened was that I had a USB drive ready with new firmware. So I plugged it in, and you can turn on the power on it, hold the power button in for 7 seconds. It goes into maintenance mode. You pick up you of course have you plugged in your USB, and it boots up and all that, and everything is great, and you select update, and it should work, and it works 99% of the time. The problem is it didn't work for me, and probably because I either formatted it or forgot to rename the file. It doesn't really matter. It didn't recognize it. So turned off the device, started up again, and it worked. It booted in, and I logged in with my account and everything, and behind all the scenes while I was doing that, it downloaded the firmware and actually said it's ready to install. And I was just like, it's 300 megabytes, and the PlayStation network is always fucking slow. No matter, you can do this at 5 in the morning and you would only freaking one on, and the network is still getting like 1% of the bandwidth that I actually can get. It's PlayStation 3 the PlayStation network from a PlayStation 3 has always been slow. You can never get decent speeds. That time, no problem. I could it took me 5 minutes to download. After that, installed it, rebooted. It rebooted a couple times, so everything went fine. Booted it up, logged in, went to the PlayStation Store, got Resogun, got what's the other game? Can't remember. Downloaded that, and it downloads at the same time. And the PlayStation Store is so fucking fast. It's still the same store as the PlayStation 3 with the new design and all that, but damn, it's fast. And compared to the PlayStation 3, that's a fucking slow machine, and that's 8 cores. So there's definitely something different about this. So that was really a really great experience. And all in all, when you see the download queue, it downloads at the same time. The queue is not like, well, it's one download at a time. It's multiple downloads at a time. It can use your full bandwidth for some strange reason. It's the same network. I don't understand why, but it actually freaking works. So, and I think I downloaded. It took me like 5 minutes or something to download everything. I have a 60 megabit line now, so it's just like I can get speeds of 7 to 8 megabytes per second. I can download. So for me to download 30 gigs of storage of some game, no problem. I can do that in half an hour. Steam installations, I don't care a rat's ass. I can download a game in no time. To these days, it's great. Fiber optic for the win. Anyways, after I did that, I started. Well, I told myself, well, time to play a game. So what I did was actually I took in and I told to myself, okay, I got Knack and I got Shadowfall. Knack is probably the most streamlined game I can play right now, and I wanted to play. I didn't want to play first-person shooter anyways to start. So And of course, it was the first game we saw at E3, so I wanted to check that out first. Let's see this experience they're talking about. So I put it in, started installing, took like 5 minutes, and it was ready to go. Started up, no problem with at all with the slow installation, like taking really long time compared to the PlayStation 3. So it was a great experience. You get in, and that game had all launch games have really gotten mediocre scores, and I'm saying mediocre because I think giving a 70 or a 60 between that on Metacritic is not a great game. It's probably a decent game in some points of view, but it's just that's a poor performance for a game. That's a game that's not going to make its money back from a developer's perspective. But it's going to do that anyway here because those are launch titles. So, anyways, a lot of the games have only gotten those, and people have been really criticizing, well, it's fucking difficult and all that. So, my experience with Knack, I've played I played an hour of it yesterday or this morning when I got it, and I went to bed and stood up and did my thing and started playing again. Where I actually can turn on the speakers a little bit more. I actually got a surround sound system, so that's great. So I hooked up the PlayStation 4 for that. I did that, and the experience it's a great game. It's definitely deserves more praise than any game I've played so far. I don't understand why people are nagging. I understand it's difficult, but it's a whole nother thing about it. And where should I start? Well, the game is, of course, a platformer, and it looks a lot like, well, if you've played platformers like Banjo-Kazooie, you played Ratchet and Clank, and all those games. It's really cute. Not the best. The story is not that great. The Ratchet and Clank is definitely 100 times greater. But it is a great platformer, action platformer, and I think the problem is that when you saw it at E3, it looks spectacular. It works great. Knack has some really great features with gathering stuff and growing and all that. The problem is probably that the combat is actually pretty advanced. Because it's not like you can just, you have like multiple weapons you can do and all that. No, you have your fists, and you have some attacks you can perform if you have the right. You gather sun crystal energy to do special attacks. If you don't have enough, you can't do them, and it takes some time to actually gather that energy, and you don't actually have access to it. So you have to use those attacks at the right point. But anyways, the whole issue here is that your health and your size are connected. The smaller you are, the lower health you have, and the lower health bar you have. And the only way to heal is gather new items. That means that Knack has to grow. He is he is a being of artifacts, pretty much small artifacts that gathers. It looks like polygons, but he gathers stuff and attaches that to the body, so he grows, he gets larger. And the whole issue here is that when you get hit, you get smaller. That means your health bar go down. It doesn't go down, and actually, if your health goes down, but if you start off small, you don't have that much health. That means you're more vulnerable, and you're vulnerable at any point because look at it from the perspective of what's logical. If you have a being have a puzzle that is a puzzle of 1,000 puzzle pieces, if you drop that, that's going to be really big mess. And it's the same thing with that. If you hit that, there's going to be some pieces that's going to be knocked off. And the more pieces there are, the easier it is to knock things off. So that's the whole issue here, is that when you get hit, you no matter pretty much what type of enemy it is, if you get hit, you really feel it. So you're pretty vulnerable. That's probably one of the complaints that I've seen. You're vulnerable, but I don't see that as a big problem. It's just, well, that's part of the game, and the whole mechanic. And I've played it so far. I don't feel frustrated with it, because there are some things that, in my opinion, get the frustration going. It's gonna go away. And that is, oh, give me a sec, guys, my poster is coming down. And that is fucking annoying. Anyways, look, while I'm actually trying to save this poster here, I need a new idea to actually hang these posters here. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. There we go. Back to the Future poster. Where was I? Oh yeah. The whole problem. There's really not a problem. What they do is actually the combat system is pretty advanced. I mean, advanced in a way that the enemies are really, really intelligent. That means that an enemy, if you attack, an enemy actually predicts your attacks and tries to dodge. Does that pretty well. And it expects, or the game expects you to do the same. So, if you think that you can do the same thing like you can in, for instance, Ratchet & Clank, just button mash the crap out of it, pretty much. You can't do that here. That's impossible. You will die and you will get pissed. You will die a lot. So, first thing you gotta understand about this game, you need to think before you act. That means that if you come into a place, you have 3 enemies. You see 2 enemies are the same type, you have a 3rd enemy. Okay, how's this going to work? What do these enemies do? Should I attack the single enemy or the 2 other ones? Who should I dispose at what point? Do I jump and attack, or do I actually go ahead and just attack from the ground? There's a lot of things with that. Also, Knack has the ability to dodge pretty well, so you need to use your dodge a lot. I need to be good at it, because you're going to have to dodge pretty much most of the attacks, because you're vulnerable to attacks, you're vulnerable when you get hit, and you're easy to dismantle because you are put together about a lot of pieces, a lot of pieces you find around the game. So yeah, it's just the game design. It's not poorly designed. It's just the idea behind. There's meaning to it, and I don't think that from when you saw it at E3, it wasn't told. People were expecting a Ratchet & Clank type game, button mashing, fun story, cute design, all that, and it looked like that. It just isn't. Again, I think you can actually. I would compare it a little bit to Brutal Legend. Brutal Legend is a great game. It's a great game. If you haven't played that game, pick it up. It's on Steam, actually. You can buy it. It's really, really cheap. People were expecting a hack and slash game, but it's actually a RTS game. And people were just like, well, you lied to us. No. It was there. It was shown. You were just expecting it was purely your hack and slash. It was just poorly explained, and I think it's the same thing that happened with that. This here strategy-based game, you really need to think about what you do. So that's one of the things. If you think about that, you don't get frustrated. That's one thing that keeps you from breaking your controller. The other thing is that load times are exceptionally good here. When you die, checkpoints are pretty common, and it loads so fast. It's just like, oh, just gonna start again. and then you know what you do. And most of the things where I've died 3 or 4 times, just like, why the hell did I do that? It's just you're not mad at the game. It's just like you're mad at yourself. It's just like, god damn, this game is a piece of crap. It's not like that. I actually see it's more like, well, god damn it, why the hell did I? For instance, I did a thing where I knew that if I transform from one part to the other, I would die, and it was just like I actually didn't hit the bottom 2 times in a row. Just like, why the fuck don't I learn that? And it's just do it over again. It's not a great thing. The game is I'm at chapter 8 right now, and I think there should be 13 chapters, so it's pretty long. I've spent like 5 hours so far, so it's pretty decent. The problem is only that it's expensive. Expensive in a way that it's $60+. It's actually $80 over here, and Shadowfall, so they're really expensive. A tip for at least for European people: before you buy the game, if you buy a PlayStation 4, do not buy a game. Reserve one. Do not buy it. Just say, I'm gonna pick up the PlayStation first. Go home, check the prices. Actually, I found out I could have saved at least $10 with actually buying the games digitally, because they bumped up the price on retail to make more money. So the retails are actually more expensive than the digital distribution right now on PlayStation Network. So I could have saved at least $20-$30 with picking up Shadowfall and Knack from the store directly instead of actually having the discs. So yeah, that sucks. But let's talk about some of the other great things about the console. Knack, just one game. I recommend picking it up if you like those type of games. Shadowfall, I haven't played that. Gonna play that after I'm done with Knack. I played Resogun. Resogun is also great. Getting also probably the best reviewed game on PlayStation 4 at the moment. I haven't picked up Black Flag. I actually want to play it, and I'm probably going to pick it up for the PlayStation 4 because I've heard that Ubisoft prioritized PlayStation 4 production more than the other things. So there's problems with the PC and all that, at least from what I've heard. Rob actually has it on PC, I think. Yeah, he bought it on Steam, and he had no problems. But I think I'm gonna. I have all the others on PlayStation. The first one, I think I'm gonna buy it also on deck, just because I wanted some more games for the PlayStation 4 to play on it. It's a great system. Anyways, some of the features of the system, of course, is that the new menu design, and it's pretty simple actually. You still have your bar, it's just moved to the top. Actually, download the PlayStation app, and you pretty much have the interface. The whole top of the app is like notifications, messages, settings, profile, and power. That's the top. When you go up to the top with just a flip up, and you move horizontally to actually go into those settings there. There are some settings in settings that you can say, well, you can turn off the system, or you can put it in standby. In standby, you power your controller. You can power the controller, and you can also choose to have Ethernet access. The next thing is actually the menu itself, where you actually start up. There you have your games you have installed or you have put in your discs. You also have your library, where you can actually, if you haven't played some of the games, because it actually, the things you've used recently is always going to be at the front. So games, Netflix, and all that, it's going to be at the front. Netflix is going to be at a TV video app or tile that's going to drop down and show you those like Hulu and all that, whatever you have. And then you have, beside that, you have your other things. You also have the ability to go and stream you do that from the game itself with hitting the share button. The share button is actually, I messed a little bit around with it today, had some more time with it. The share button works, at least from what I've experienced when I play NAC, when you hit the share button one time, it starts recording. And the second time you hit it, it stops and prompts you, what do you want to do? Do you want to stream? Or do you actually want to, what's it called? Save this video, because it has a video at that point. And do you want to upload it? And it will upload at this moment. It will upload it to YouTube or Facebook, and Facebook's integration will be prompted when you go through logging into your account or creating one, because the account, you will have to accept the new privacy policy and something else. I can't remember that. And the privacy policy is because you will be able to choose between showing your real name and profile name, or only your profile name, and also activating Facebook. So it uploads to Facebook. I actually did that today because I didn't want to stream, and you have access to stream to Twitch and Ustream. So both of those are available from launch, and they work. And you can actually also go into a game. I actually went into a game where somebody was playing Need for Speed Rivals, which also looks really great. And you can do that. You can full screen it. You can comment on him, and you can also go ahead and actually click start this game, and that will take you to the story. So it works like they said it will, and it works really great. I haven't tried streaming, and I think the only way you can stream with a camera on, a commentator camera, will be if you have the PlayStation camera. That is fucking expensive. I think it's $60 or 70. And I didn't buy that because the camera is not that great at the moment. And I don't think you can you can't put the iCamera PlayStation Eye on it. Will not work. So, and maybe you can do something from a PC also, but from the PlayStation 4, and all in all, you need a camera, and you can't have that without the PlayStation 4 camera, and I don't have that. So I didn't test that. I haven't tested Twitch yet, but from what I've seen so far, it works pretty great from a viewer's perspective. So you can go in and view people. But also it's the same thing with it's the share button you get, and you can also do screenshots. What I think also, it actually always records something in the background. And recordings are done raw, so just so you know, it's a 500 gigabyte hard drive you get with the system. All in all, when you're done with updates, patches, and installations, from day one launch at least, you probably already are down to 400. NAC itself is an uncompressed game, so it takes installing 40 gigs. So that hard 500 gig is going to be eaten up pretty fast. I'm pretty sure that Shadowfall will also be 40, maybe 50. And that's excluding all the recording you're going to doing, or you're going to be doing, hopefully, or streaming, whatever. Streaming, of course, is not going to be recorded, but if you want to record something, it's going to take like 15 minutes. It's around, what was it, 400 megabytes. 5 minutes is... Oh, it's more. I can't remember. I think actually the 5 minutes was 300 or 400 megabytes. So it's pretty high. So, and one thing also, you cannot from this interface, share interface, delete the items. You can only view. You can edit. You can share. If you want to delete it, you have to go into settings. And I actually find this a little bit strange, but also I find a little bit meaning behind it. I can see it go both ways, and that's because normal user that just recorded a great session, maybe, and is really happy, wants to, for instance, upload it and accidentally deletes it, is going to be really, really pissed with himself, of course, because he hit the button. And I think for safety measures of that experience, because it is easy to go and delete stuff from that, they took the button away. So if you go to settings and into storage management, you get the same interface, but there you can delete it. It's just another way. It's another tool. So I think they're gonna get some. They're probably gonna get some complaints with it, and I think they can pretty much fix it pretty easily. But I think that from a viewer perspective, there are probably a lot of people that might be deleting stuff at some point, specifically if you have filled your hard drive up. And again, the hard drive is attached with a single chassis that you can take out and switch it out with a new drive. Attach it to the small bracket chassis. What's it called? It's a slot of some kind. Come here. It is a chassis or a case, pretty much, that you click out. It's one screw that sits in there. You click it out, and then you take two screws out, and you see it in notebooks and so many other places. You switch it out with a new drive, install the firmware, you're good to go from a thumb drive. So yeah, I've seen comparison. Is it, will this device, or will there be any change if we put in a solid state drive? And there are some great benefits with solid state drives. The problem is that solid state drives are still really expensive if you want those really large drives, and you will need those really large drives with this device specifically, because the games are just huge. The streaming functions, upload function are also really, really great. It's really easy to just upload videos to your friends and all that, and it's just going to be used a lot, and that's going to demand a lot of space. I don't think 500 gigs is enough. I'm actually down to 400, below 400 now, and I haven't used it that much. I got a couple of apps installed, IGN app and Netflix. When more come and more games are going to be installed, it will, and you're not going to uninstall them. That's just something you're not going to do, but there has to be some kind of management behind that. So yeah, that's going to be an issue. So I'm probably going to upgrade. But I would say if you want to do a smart thing in the future, upgrade it to a 2 terabyte disk. And that's not going to be a solid state drive. If you want the best of both worlds, try and get a hybrid disk. A hybrid disk is a mechanical with a small solid state part in it for buffering. It will give you a great performance deal. There have been some tests. It's around 5 to 6 seconds between that disk and a solid state drive, a new model like a Samsung Evo disk, and that's of today's date. And the price is like 100. No, not 100. I think it's $80 for 1 terabyte. So maybe $130 for a 2 terabyte disk of a hybrid disk. And get it from a decent vendor, and you will have no problems. And you will get some better speeds in the future with installing, load time and all that. Load time is already great, so I don't think you're going to get any complaints with that. Yeah. But in all, that would be my suggestion to change. You will see probably already next year a bundle with a 1 terabyte disk and maybe a 2 terabyte disk for the same price, or at least in a year, because the space is just too small for the size that demands. And I think it's the same problem with the Xbox. The problem with the Xbox, it's not easy to take out. You can take it out. It is in a slot of some kind, but you will have to dismantle the whole thing to get it. And that's voiding your guarantee, and you are not voiding your guarantee. And Sony has said that they have shown it themselves that it's not voiding your guarantee to take out the drive. So yeah. That's pretty much it for me. My all-in-all experience is that you should, if you're a fan, you really want a console, one of the new ones. In my opinion, at the moment, I see PlayStation as a stronger competitor than the Xbox. The Xbox hasn't launched yet. It launches next year, early next year. And it's the lineup, from what I've heard so far, is not that great. And I think, if you look at it from a other person's perspective, I think the same thing is going to be said about the PlayStation. That the lineup's not that great. I think lineup, if you look at it from another perspective, are you interested in the game, not just in the game's total worth and value and scores? They've gotten the same. Rise has not gotten above 70, I think, and same with NAC and so on. So it's the same thing in both. It's just, man, do you want an Xbox or do you want a PlayStation? The Xbox has the TV thing. The PlayStation has pretty much games and the services you get. You get the things both. There's pros and cons on the whole thing. But I chosen PlayStation, and I'm definitely not regretting it. It is definitely a cheaper, better system in my opinion so far. And it's definitely, if you have a PlayStation 3, it is worth the upgrade. I am not going to use my PlayStation 3 again. Not even for a new game. I'm going to wait for it to be ported, because that's going to happen. You're going to see, you're not going to see Grand Theft Auto porting, but you're probably going to see, if a game comes out, for a PlayStation 3, it's going to be ported to PlayStation 4 at some point. They're going to do the same thing with PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, because people want backward compatibility. So yeah, that's pretty much it, people. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I cannot promise you that I will do one again anytime soon, but I'm probably going to talk maybe again. I don't know. I'm not going to promise you. So until then.